with us. Bear with us up to full new NFT collections. Every time that you go and see a new project minting, it's usually off the back of a couple of months of work, getting all of the dev work sorted, getting all of the marketing sorted, getting all of the commercials in place. So we're not going to try and rush that through in 48 hours, but we are hoping that by the end of February, beginning of March, this will be 3 concurrent collections, each of whom will be reflecting well on each other and delivering significant value to you guys. So if you bear with us, I'm confident that it'll be worth the wait. Jack, Dynasty, anything that you want to add to that before I just briefly touch on what we're doing with our social marketing?
I think that covers everything, unless Jack has something to say about it. I think Jack does not have speaking powers.
I did add him. Add us. There we go. Jack.
What are you doing?
Good to have you here, sir. Thank you very much. Did you catch much of what we were saying there just about the additional collections? Just confident that these aren't going to be in place of our existing holdings. These are going to be something that supplements them. Just wondered if you had anything to add.
Sure. Yeah, I caught most of that. I was just trying to set up the stream and record this. So anybody who wants to, of course, capture the replay, I did begin recording a good portion of it. So that recording will be up later on YouTube as always. For anybody who wants to catch the replay. For my thoughts on it, yeah, I do want to reassure everybody that, and then we discussed this, of course, in the past. We are trying to kind of preserve, the Gen 1s and some of the sanctity of the rarity of those. So obviously, this future collection is going to take, existing traits into mind, and we're not trying to dilute the value of existing holders. And obviously, we're trying to create, once we do generate the formula, we figure out exactly how we're going to balance the incentives of, how many existing icons you want to burn to claim the new ones. I think it's going to arrive at a kind of an ideal balance between, preserving the value of the existing collection, and so in many ways, even kind of enhancing the value of the existing collection. Gen 1s, I think, will always be given the respect, I think, by having, Gen 1s, Gen 2s available to the wider NFT community. It only stands to benefit the Gen 1s. I think this is largely a win-win all around. So I really think we will only stand to gain by introducing kind of fresh new traits, kind of shifting with the times. And this mostly, this helps reduce the supply of those Gen 1s. And even if you have traits that are less rare right now, by burning some of the less desirable traits, going to only enhance the exclusivity of the original Gen 1s. And we're probably going to do this repeatedly, right? I could see a Gen 3 and Gen 4 potentially coming each time. We're burning Gen 1s, and we're slowly going to thin out the ranks of Gen 1s and really distill the Gen 1s into, the core, the best Incognitos of the first generation will likely stay around. And, there's several, like most of the ones in my collection are gems. So for me to actually maybe acquire the Gen 2s, I'm going to have to probably go into the market and pick up a series of Gen 1s, because most of my Gen 2s I really don't want to burn or mint or really change anything about. I have great ones there. So I do think this is going to inevitably put a pressure, and repeatedly, with repeated generations, we'll have a pressure on the Gen 1 supply, and while keeping the Gen 2s kind of like, there'll be a utility to create, the new generations, right? So those are my thoughts, guys. Very excited to move forward in this direction.
Fantastic. Thank you both. So look, I'm not going to dwell too long on the Twitter stuff, because I think I've said everything that I need to say in Discord, but I sent around some stats, right? There's 5 stats on the screen that I shared in our update channel. We can ignore the number of tweets, because any idiot can send out 1,000 tweets in a month and it doesn't achieve anything, and it just ends up pissing off your followers and you end up losing followers. You can ignore the number of followers we've got. It's creeping up, but I could just as easily go and buy a bunch of robots to follow our account, and it doesn't mean anything. So the 3 stats that we need to follow, right, on a monthly basis are: how many impressions are we making on social media via our tweets? And that went from circa 75,000, 80,000 up to 360,000 this month. So that's an increase of 333%. The second one is profile visits. How many times are people proactively going to our page to find out what Incognito actually is? And that was up 150% at 91,000 visits. And how many times are people talking about us organically, whether it's you guys or people retweeting what I put out or what you put out? How many times are people mentioning Incognito out in the Twitterverse, which this month was 2,000 times, up from under 700 times in December. Now, bear in mind that in December, we were running giveaway competitions. We were running the Christmas Advent competition that required people to go and do these things, mention Incognito, retweet us, visit our profile. This has all been done organically with no giveaways. And these numbers, which are extraordinary, have been achieved with a core of about 30 or 40 people proactively supporting our marketing efforts. So it doesn't take a huge amount of imagination to think about what it would look like if we had the community engagement on Twitter and other social channels that something like Lazy Lions or Bored Ape Yacht Club has, where hundreds and thousands of users are religiously commenting on, liking, and retweeting everything that those collections put out into the market. And not just that, proactively following other holders of the collection and retweeting those conversations too, entering those conversations with appropriate hashtags. So the fact that we're now at a point where we're getting significant social engagement for an account of our size, we've got about 14,500 followers, and to have stats like this in month one of a proper social engagement effort is impressive. It's comparable to some of the best accounts out there of this size, but we're doing it with 40 or 50 people. And the reason it's working so well is that our art is so engaging. So when Jack puts a video together and I tweet that out, I know that's getting 5,000 engagements within 24 hours because people just love to look at our artwork. And that's the reason that with even only 30 or 40 or 50 people proactively engaging in this process, we're able to get to these numbers. So it would be very, very, very easy for us to become one of the fastest growing NFT communities on Twitter in terms of engagement if we could get that 30 or 40 people who are engaging on a daily basis to grow to a couple of hundred people, and then in a few months' time to grow to 500 people. And if we did nothing with the collection at all, if we scrapped the evolution plan, scrapped the Incognito X plan, scrapped any kind of roadmap, and just used our existing art and had 500 community members actively engaged every day on our Twitter, our floor would be at 1 ETH by the end of June. So with the roadmap that we have, with the new collections, with the investment that Dynasty's making, both in terms of time and financially into this project, you can only start to imagine what the potential upside is to our price and the value of our collection if we can get our community engaged in supporting this properly. So I'm not, it's boring for me to bash people over the head with it. I'm not going to bring it up every day in the Discord. I'm not going to bring it up every week on the AMA. But if we can get the community to be proactive, and let's face it, we're not asking anything silly here. We're asking you to support your investment. And if we can get the community members that aren't currently engaged in doing that to be more proactive in doing so, and support them in doing that, then it's not going to take very much time at all for us to completely change our perception in the NFT market, get thousands of new eyes on us every month, and to start to lift that floor aggressively. So I would strongly encourage the people that have been long time critical of our marketing strategy. I was one of them. I joined the team to help change it. You guys can all change it and all be proactive in supporting me in doing that by being less critical and more proactive in going out and getting it on Twitter. And that's not to in any way take for granted the fantastic work of that 40 or 50 people who are proactively endorsing us. You all know who you are. I'm tremendously grateful. I'd love for that 40 or 50 to be 400 or 500 because I think it would be a massive, massive change for the project. Not too much else to say, but Dynasty, Jack, any comments to make there? No.
Not in particular, sorry, but not on this exact topic. But I do encourage everybody, of course, to pitch in. Of course, no one needs to feel overly obligated at all to engage, but merely, and I don't think Matt overwhelms our feed by any means. I think he makes 1 or 2 or so tactful posts per day, and if you get at minimum, just click the like. You're not obligated to get overly involved. I don't like to put anybody in an uncomfortable position, but guys, we have an army here, a strong group. I'm certain that if even just a fraction of us who are listening do make the effort to engage a little more, we will reap big rewards. Thanks, guys.
Right, so
Yeah, I think
go
you covered. I think you covered through everything, Matt. It's not. I mean, I've always said it, and I remember those first few AMAs we did when we analyzed the market. When we was talking about literally 6 months ago, give or take, a bit more maybe. When we talked about all the other collections out there that were pretty big, even Bored Apes. When we talked about Bored Apes and so many other collections that were just getting started. It's all about community building. It's all about a community they had behind themselves, behind the team and behind the project. And that's you can have the. I've always said it. You can have the best project in the world, but I always rather have the best community in the world and have a shitty product because even you guys are. I mean, I don't even have to say it. We're all part of this NFT community and this NFT ecosystem where you see so many NFTs out there, artistic NFTs. They're not artistic at all, but they have a strong community, and that's one of our main goals as well as we move forward with Incognito and everything else we do, is building our community back up, building that support, being more faithful. I mean, even building a much bigger loyal fan base or holder base with you guys. Yeah, I mean, just trying to strengthen what we already have, and that's pretty much it. I think you covered it all, man.
Yeah, and actually, I just have to give Dynasty a quick shout out here because I was one of the most proactive whingers on Discord about the absence of social marketing because I think it's important in our space. I think so much business gets done on Twitter within the NFT landscape, right? And so rather than just, bashing heads with me about it, he said, okay, come join the team. Let's work together. You've got a commercial background. Let's do this together and let's make it work. And so, when you've got a Discord full of people saying, give us more of something, and he goes into his own pocket, brings me into the team and says, I've listened, I agree, let's do more of it, then I think it's fair that once we're a month into that and people have seen that we're being proactive, we don't want to pressure people to participate in anything. The last thing I want to do is ask people to retweet my rubbish if they think it's rubbish. But if the general consensus is that we're going in the right direction with our marketing strategy, then I think we can just say, look, let's do more of it. Let's work on it together as a community and let's keep pushing the thing forward. Because as you also saw in the update channel, I'm not saying there's causation, but there's definitely a correlation between the amount of engagement we get on socials and the sales volume that we've seen over the month so far. And if we can keep that going, then I think that's what everyone wants. So let's move on. So I'll give you a little glimpse of what it's like working with Dynasty. So Dynasty was off playing golf somewhere very sunny in the Dominican Republic. He just wound me up just now with a story about how he didn't play that well, and then it turned out he shot 81 and eagled the first. I've never eagled anything in my life, and I've never broken 85 in my life, so I don't really want to hear too many more of those stories. But on his return from his travels, he dropped me a quick note, and I've done my usual thing of sending him 10, 20 questions to catch up on. We're on different time zones, so we tend to overlap for a couple of hours a day. I send him 10 questions, he sends me 10 answers, and then we do the same thing the next day. But this week, he sent me a list of 10 answers and then an additional note saying, can you reach out to Project X because I've set up a collaboration? And it was the first I'd heard of it. So Jack and I reached out to this project in question, and ready and waiting for us was a 2-page PDF detailing how we could collab, why it would be of benefit to our users, and what they wanted in return. And it was all based on a conversation they'd had with Dynasty, and they're ready to go. And so over the course of the last 48 hours, Jack and I have been in touch with the guy. He's ready to reward us with something that our community's been asking for. And we're hoping that we're going to have an announcement on that. It's metaverse based and rewards based for our holders. And we're hoping to have an announcement on that in the coming week. So whatever people might think about the way the project's delivered historically, any glitches that we've had, any delays that we've had, what is certainly evident over the course of the 4 weeks that I've been officially involved is a willingness to change, move things towards and deliver on things that haven't been delivered in the past. And that's going to become more and more evident the more that we deliver, whether it's with these new projects, whether it's with the merchandise that we'll come to later, whether it's new collaborations artistically or commercially. All of these things that we're going to start to put in front of you guys are going to show you that things are really on the turnaround here. And I don't think it's going to take very long for that to be reflected in the floor. So, speaking of deliveries, I will pause for a quick drink of water and allow Jack and Dynasty just to touch on merchandise, because I think I'm right in saying that chains and hats are about to go in the post, and there might be a bit of an update on where we are with the hoodies. So I'll just hand over to you guys for a sec.
Hey, I'll take over for a little bit. Jack, you can interrupt me if you need. We have pretty good news. We finally got all of our chains shipped to one of our team members in the US, who will be in charge of, let's say, reshipping all the rewards, all the chains for all of our current winners, the guys we owe the chains to. So that's pretty much done. Justo should already have the main chain, the $17,000 chain that we had made with real natural diamonds, pure rose gold, which is, I'm even jealous of him getting that chain. So he should have that already. That was delivered a few days ago. We got the tracking for that 2 days ago, give or take. I have to check our notes. So that's great news. We finally got everything sorted, everything shipped, and just as I said in a couple of I think it was in the Wales channel, I'm not sure, or the collectors. The problem with the chains and let's say the delays and all those little things, it was not their own fault. It was not our fault. Every party had their own small part to take into the delay that happened. It was some miscommunication. Sometimes something as simple as just having them shipped took much longer due to COVID, due to the big spur of COVID on December, New Year's, holidays, Christmas, and all those kinds of things. But finally, we got that over with. We are also talking to them about letting you guys order custom chains for you guys. They already have the molds to do the chains, so we are negotiating for them to offer them for you guys to order. There might be a limited quantity of chains. We might do it in a way where, let's say, we just guarantee 100 chains, and we just pay for them, and then we just let you guys purchase them from us, even at a discounted price. We'll look into it and let you guys know on that. I know there's a bunch of you guys who want to have like the original icon chain, even as something as just like a collector's item. I, for one, I'm gonna have at least 2 of these chains just for myself, for my office, for everything I do for the next, literally, I'm gonna have that chain and tell my kids, hey, look, this was the first NFT project that I made, and that we worked as a team, and blah, 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 blah. So that's just something very cool to have, and we'll make sure that you guys have access to that. As well as we'll probably give away a few more to you guys. Well, we'll do that once we have the chains in our hands, so we don't run into any delays or anything like that. For our hats, I sent you guys a few pictures. For those who have not seen them, they're on our general channel. Our hats are pretty much done. If I'm not mistaken, we already have all 100 of each color already embroidered. Not all 100 have the unique numbers, and like all of them are gonna say icon hat number 1 out of 100, number 2 out of 100, and so and so. I know that we already have at least half and half of each color ready to ship. We are waiting on a special box. It's not so special, but the thing is, I don't want to send you guys a icon hat just like on a plastic wrapper, plastic bag, or whatever. That's not something I want you guys to receive. We want you guys to have at least a nice box with the Incognito logo at the very least, and for you guys to get that, which looks a bit more professional, a bit nicer. You can even just keep your hat in the box if you don't want to wear it. I personally wear my icon hat that I had made weeks ago as a prototype literally every single day. There's some of you guys who pointed out about our hat that the new hats look a bit different, and they do look, they are a bit different. We chose a better quality hat. It's better quality in every sense of the word, even on the backside where you adjust the hat. It's all made and it all looks professional. It's just not 2 flaps that look very cheap. It's a very breathable, synthetic material that it's being used, mainly because I see these icon hats as something that I want you guys to wear on a daily basis, not for you guys to just put on your desk or something, or like as a collectible. If you guys want to do that, that's perfectly fine as well. But yeah, the hats aren't that, like, the material is not that strong or that firm. Mainly because I want you guys, when you guys wear it, I want you guys to actually wear it and for it to feel nice, and it doesn't feel like you have, I don't know, some plastic thing bothering you in your head. So those should be starting to ship early next week, at the very least. Early next week, maybe a few are going to be shipped uh, even as early as this week. It all depends as fast as we get the boxes from our suppliers, which we are already in talks with. And then for the hoodies, we already talked with IYK team. The IYK team is updating us on a regular basis as well with our hoodies. We actually changed our design a tiny bit. If you guys remember, in one of the sleeves it says "Go Incognito." It was very, very big. The Go Incognito, in terms of like the size of it, took pretty much the entire sleeve. We are making that a bit smaller, so it looks a bit more slick, and it looks a bit more. I don't know. I like it a bit better. You don't have like big brandings on your hoodie. I'm the type of person who I don't like hoodies that have like big branding all over the place. Simply because I wouldn't wear it in public. I like more simplistic, minimalistic hoodies but they have to look professional and actually look something with quality for me to wear it, and that's what we're gonna go with. The main design in the back and the front are not gonna change. It's just a small change in the sleeve. All the hoodies are in the printers are ready, and that should be done literally in the next couple of days. After that, it's gonna take probably a couple more days for the NFC tags to be um, added to the back of the hoodies. For those of you who don't know or who don't remember, each of these hoodies are going to have an NFC tag that are going to be connected to a digital hoodie, which represents your hoodie in the metaverse. And just so you guys understand how this works, we have video with all of that as well. But for you to own the digital version, you must own the physical version of the hoodie. There's no way of trading the digital one and saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna sell you the physical now." So the physical acts as a key to your digital. So if someone wants to sell you a hoodie, or just you want to gift the hoodie to someone else, it's as simple as just rescanning the chip in the back, and you have the hoodie. Then the new owner is gonna have the hoodie in digital form. There is It's not as simple as that. We are developing with the IYK guys a locking mechanism for a certain amount of time, and a few other security protocols where it's not as easy as just someone coming next to you and scanning your hoodie and they're gonna have the digital. Even if this happens, if you have the physical, you're always gonna have the digital one, because if somebody gets it for a couple of minutes, you just have to rescan it, and you have the digital version with you right away. So that's gonna be pretty exciting to see. I can't wait to see you guys wearing the hoodies as well, posting pictures and social media with your chains, with your hoodies, with your hats, and everything else we have planned. We do have a few other things in terms of merchandise that we are looking into planning out and already actively working on, but as we all have learned, I'd rather have things in the final stage before announcing them, giving you guys dates, especially because in the world that we live in right now, something that used to take 2 weeks to get to you from China or from some other place in the world now takes a month or 2 months. Just so you guys can understand, just for us to get the hoodies, not the hoodies, the hats, it took us so long, like much longer than we expected, simply because of shipping problems. Something that used to take a week took us 2 months, a month. So yeah, I mean, it's just things that we can't control. It's things we can't really plan for, but we'll make it better. We'll do a better job at delivering to you guys and announcing things. that's pretty much it with
Yeah,
our merch
this
at
is
the
an
moment.
important point actually that you're making, because that's another thing that's changed a lot about this project, is that we're now reticent to commit to timelines or specific dates where we're not in control of those deliveries. So, for example, once Jack's in possession of the chains, or I'm actually not sure whether it's Jack they've been sent to, but whoever's in possession of the chains that have been sent out, once we have those in our hand, and it's a case of going to FedEx or the post office in the UK, whoever it might be, and saying, look, we have these, we want to send them out, we can say with complete authority, that's going to be done tomorrow, Friday, the 28th of January, if that were the case, just as an example. What we can't do is say, the gold store is going to send us those tomorrow, Friday, the 28th of January, because we're not the gold store, so we're not in charge of what they do. In the same way, when we're talking about delivering new collections, Dynasty, myself, Jack, and various others in the team are involved in that process. But there's also developers that have their eyes on various different parts of our project, our website, the smart chain contract, our relationship with OpenSea. All of these things need to fall into place. And neither myself nor Dynasty nor Jack are singularly responsible for delivering on those things on a specific date. So I can't turn around and say, okay, that's going to be done on February the 2nd, because it's not me that was responsible for it. It's me in coordination with 6 other people. So the reason I'm not saying Incognito X is going to be delivered on February the 2nd or February the 7th is because I'm not responsible for other people's actions. I'm going to do everything that I need to do to make sure that it's ready. And I'll give you a date when everything's done so that I know I'm no longer required to wait for other people's contributions. I can tell you factually, this is going to happen because the only thing that needs to happen in order for me to deliver it is for me to do something. And in the same way, Dynasty's saying, look, we probably want to do some more of these chain giveaways. We probably want to give you a date in the relatively near-term future when we can deliver on the hoodies. But the day that we give you those dates is going to be the day when we're in complete control of it, and there's not going to be any need to let people down as we did, unfortunately, previously. So I think that's a positive change, and I think, of course, it requires patience from you guys, but I certainly think it's better to ask patience than it is to ask for forgiveness by failing to deliver on promises. So hopefully you'll see that that's a significant change in the way that we're running things. The next thing on the agenda, Dynasty, is actually another one for you, which is, you've kind of touched on it in the Discord, but I thought it might just be worth, for a couple of minutes at least, just explaining a little bit more about what Dyna Studios is, how it's going to be to the benefit of our collection overall, what it might mean in terms of utility for Incognito Genesis holders, eyes on the project, investment in the project, and how the team's growing and evolving to deliver something much bigger and better in the NFT space. So do you want to just talk to that for a couple of minutes, and I can chip in as required?
Yeah, of course. I'll touch on a bit of things I already said on the collectors channel as well as a bit more details. We are gonna send you guys I want to write out a announcement for you guys on just explaining things in details, just so you guys understand the whole concept behind it, how things are gonna move forwards with that, let's say, parent company, and etc. When we first did Incognito, the first thing I said was, the first thing I talked about, even with my team and everything, is I wanted to have and build like a mother company, which was not mother. I call it more. You say that the word in Spanish, but let's say a parent company for Incognito, just as Bored Apes has Judo Labs, just as Lover Labs, and etc. Especially because I knew that since the beginning, this was not just going to be a simple NFT project. I wanted to do something much, much bigger. Few months after that, let's say it's been around 6-7 months since we launched Incognito, if I'm not mistaken. Dyna Studios, that company has grown to something much bigger, and as I said it in the collectors and the whales channel, something much bigger than just myself. I'm literally just one of many in the team, one of many shareholders, one of many people who have a voice, and individuals who are working on that company to make it a leading company in terms of developing NFTs, not just for artists, not just for an individual, but for governments, for educational purposes, for a bunch of other brands and companies that have reached to us wanting to do something a bit more and wanting to get into the NFT ecosystem. So it's not just about Incognito, it's not just about NFT collections as we know them right now. So yeah, how that's gonna benefit us, how that's gonna benefit Incognito and everything we've built so far, is the same things that I said in the channel. As a key member of and founder, pretty much, of Dyna Studios, I pretty much make a some or most or the main decisions on there. In terms of like whitelist and all those kinds of things, I have a pretty big influence of who gets them and etc. Some collections we do have more involvement with. Some collections, for example, there's been a few collections, and even for example, there was a very good triple A game that's being developed. It's something I've never seen in the NFT space, and when I get surprised by something as big as this, it's for a reason. It's literally like a game similar to WoW, but in the blockchain, with the same functions. It's just crazy project. They want us to help them. They want Dyna Studios to help them with the marketing side and a few other things like planning, advising, stuff like that. So I give that example simply because every project that Dyna Studios works on, it's not like it's owned by Dyna Studios or that we have all the influence in the world that we can get you guys something. And in the project we're gonna be involved in the most, um, those are the big projects that I want you guys to be rewarded. How how are you guys gonna be rewarded, especially with whitelist? If those projects are gonna do like even free mints and stuff like that, you guys can be positive, and I'll be you guys can be guaranteed that you guys are gonna get special access, special perks, especially collabs and stuff like that with all of those different collections. You guys are gonna know which are the bigger collections that we're gonna work with, especially because also one of the things that we want to do is think of, I don't know, we work with 5, 6, even let's say 8 big collections, or actually big collections that sell out and have 15, 20, 30, 40,000 members and on each, and Twitter, on Instagram, on Discord. Imagine combining 5, 6, 7, 8 collections that we work on, into combining all of those into one big family. That there's a huge amount of collabs, perks, rewards, all between these collections. Of course, like I said, some of them we're gonna be involved more than others. Some of them are gonna be more involved with Incognito and let's say the family of collections as well. It all just depends on how much involvement we have with that certain collection, and if we have like a ownership partnership in those collections as well. So those are some of the things that are being worked on behind the scene, especially for someone like it's Ilswai, who was pretty much my right hand with Incognito. He's been handling more of the operations with Dyna Studios, and like I said, I've always one of the main things I said to myself and I said to the team was like, we can still develop Dyna Studios, because we got to a point where we were like, hey, I don't want Dyna Studios or whatever that can be to affect what I already have. I don't want us to just disregard Incognito and move on to other projects or helping other people or helping celebrities. You guys wouldn't even imagine how many celebrities just reach out to us wanting to do some rug pull, some scammy collection, who they just want to make a quick quick $2 million and just whatever, do nothing else. Like we've seen so much of in the NFT community. But like as you guys know, there's nothing that's ever gonna be involved that's not a great project in my eyes, and that's not something that I see a long-term value in. And we're pretty much using that same vision and that same mindset with Dyna Studios, not just especially for NFT collections that let's say mint and OpenSea, stuff like that. If we don't see long-term commitment by the team that's hiring us and etc., we won't support it. We won't be partners in it, and all those things. So you guys are going like you guys have that extra security of, if I put my name behind it, it's because I believe in the project, I believe in the team that's working on that, and so on. So yeah, I mean, that's some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. You guys are gonna see a few. I'm actually gonna post I'll be nice with you guys. Some of the whales I've already seen it. I'll post a few sneak peeks of a few projects that a couple teams are working on behind the scene. No one else in the world has seen these sneak peeks, and these projects are not ready and are still actually being worked on by other designers, different dev teams we're working with, and etc. as well. So yeah, and also for example, it's been for the last couple weeks and months. We've also in the Dyna Studios part, let's say, we've been also building a huge team because it's not just like you guys know, it's not just doing something correctly. It's not about having 2-3 people. It's about having a team of 20 people. 20 individuals who work on different aspects of the project. Incognito itself had like 25 people working at the same time at one stage. That's been reduced quite a bit. We're probably like 15, 16 right now, give or take. But yeah, and then having Dyna Studios, our parent company, that's gonna give us access to much more, a lot more resources, a lot more tools, bigger teams that can help us with marketing, with all of Web3 stuff that we want to develop in the future, and so much more. So yeah, that's a big summary of what's going on behind the scenes with that Dyna Studios and that part.
Fantastic. So I think that gives a pretty good overview of what's going on. So I've heard plenty of sort of rumors doing the rounds around, are other projects being given priority, or are we going to be a secondary project within a collection of 20 projects that Dynasty's working on? The answer is no. We're going to be a group of 3 collections, 1 project, which is going to have the support of a much bigger and badder financial backer with marketing and development skills that you wouldn't expect to see in any single NFT project. So I think over the fullness of time, that will turn out to be very good news for our collection and for our price. Let's move on to a topic that's been discussed at length in the Whale channel this weekend and a couple of other channels, which is around the aesthetic of the existing collection, whether that's changing the color background of the existing NFTs to be more eye-catching on OpenSea, whether it's being given access to the now complete rotating files of the icons. I don't think there's much appetite for attempting to re-upload all of those to OpenSea, given the fiasco that they made of it last time round. But I think the ability to download those from a website, we need to update the IPFS data for the icons, because there's certain traits that looked better before the last update. So, for example, red beanie hats now appear loose on some of the icons. So all of this is a very rambling way of saying that we basically need to address a number of appearance-related issues in relation to the existing collection. In order to do that, we need to work with our devs, because we work with them not just on the smart chain side, but on our Web2 website and on the IPFS display side. So there's a number of competing priorities at the moment. Obviously, top of that list is the delivery of Incognito X and also the Incognito Evolutions collection. And so the answer basically is that we want to do a complete refresh of the IPFS data. We want to improve the aesthetic. As part of that, we're going to look at the ability to change the color scheme, or at least allow the community to vote on whether or not we should change the color scheme from the current pastel grey to a more striking dark blue or white, or a number of other options. So that's something that is possible and will be part of the discussion. We'll also look to refresh the web page and make it possible not just to download your 6K image of your Incognito, but also the rotating file. But again, that's going to require some involvement from our developers on the Web2 side. So all of these things are very much on the list, but prioritized beneath delivery of the sort of macro picture, which is the 2 additional legs of our collection. So basically, bear with us. Jack, I can see, is chomping at the bit to give a bit more detail. So let me just go on mute on Jack. Maybe you can give a bit more on that.
Yep, certainly. So we hear you loud and clear, guys, and there is something to be said about refreshing the existing collection. on the basis that it's a low effort endeavor. We already have a completely beautifully rendered 3D models at our disposal, and they're ready. And it's not a lot to flip the background. I mean, as you guys know, you can go to the website and connect your wallet to the control panel, and you're able to render on the fly any color you desire in the palette wheel for your Incognito background. And there's certainly something to be said about easily flipping the colors, because right now there is a industry trend afoot. Most collections have corresponding color backgrounds to the base material or the DNA of the piece. And so this is a request that, I understand we might be shifting, the original look, but this is maybe a way to refresh it for, like I said, minimal, I feel effort. I'm going to be drafting some preliminary ideas. We have 8 bases, so I'm thinking 8 shades. And I'll show you guys kind of what we could theoretically work with in terms of, yes, recoloring the backgrounds of all the incognitos for the OpenSea previews, and corresponding to a base background color. Alternatively, actually, I'm not going to complicate things too much. I think we'll leave it at that. Of course, we love feedback from the community. You guys want the color backgrounds? Again, I will present some ideas. You tell me what you guys feel.
Fantastic. So there's just 1 or 2 more admin bits to go through, one of which is the Master Collectors piece. Dynasty, feel free to jump in if you want, but the long and short of it is Dynasty's put together a list of things that he thinks we should send out to Master Collectors. Jack and I have opined on it. It's got sexy stuff on it, and we're going to announce it in the next week. Dynasty, anything to add to that?
I mean, that pretty much all covers it, apart from just saying what it is. But we'll do that in the next coming days.
So it's long overdue. Our Master Collectors are some of the biggest investors in the collection. They're also typically some of our longest holders. We owe them a reward. We'll give them a reward. The stuff Dynasty's putting on the list is good stuff. And personally and as a team, we're very, very grateful to the long-term loyalty that those guys have shown. So in the next 7 days, Dynasty will do an announcement and then reach out to those 23 master holders to tell, or actually I think it's slightly less at the moment because there's some people that own golds that don't own others, but I imagine there'll be an end list of 23 master collectors who will be receiving these rewards, and Dynasty will be in touch. So I'm going to start working my way through the AMA channel for any questions, add as we go, but we have been rattling on for 59 minutes, so we'll talk to what's there and then we'll try and wrap things up. Ether Lung asks whether there's any ETA on the details for the website, roadmap and white paper. Yes. Basically, I've drafted something weeks and months ago, which I've also since updated to include the evolution plans, the Incognito X plans, but I haven't put it out onto the website because the website itself needs a refresh, and also because we wanted to get firm deliveries committed to from a development and artistic perspective before we put it into the white paper. I'm going to just use roadmap and white paper interchangeably because I'm not sure of the distinction, but effectively we will be refreshing the website, and as part of that in the coming weeks, in advance of the actual delivery of the 2 new collections, I'll be putting out a refreshed version of the roadmap or white paper to tell people exactly what we're doing. I'm also going to open a new channel, or at least maybe edit the FAQ channel in the Discord, so that anyone who comes to us as a new collector will be immediately aware of what we're up to, how we're doing it, when we're delivering it, and what that looks like. So whether they're on the website, the Discord, or Twitter, there'll always be a link there for them to see exactly what it is that we're going to deliver and why that is potentially valuable to them. So that's on its way. Are there still plans to go through with aspects of the roadmap, such as being able to purchase Mark Allen editions and 3D files? No, is the short answer. Yes, there is, but at the end of a very long list of stuff that we're working on, I can't see any way in which that can be prioritized ahead of the macro stuff. You're right to ask about it because it was spoken about at the beginning of the project, but the reality is that's being deprioritized in preference for things that we think will be more meaningful short term. The spinning animations, however, as part of the website refresh, whilst we're doing that alongside the the IPFS data refresh, I don't see any reason why that couldn't be part of the download offering in the same way that the 6K images are. But again, we'll update on that when Jack comes back to talk about options for the website and for the displays in the coming days and weeks.
Let me interrupt really quick, Matt. With the Mark Allen mint prints, we are talking to them, and currently we are in talks with them. We still owe a few of you guys, especially some of the whales, a few metal prints. That those should start shipping out again in the next few days as well. A bunch have already been shipped out to you guys. There's a few that are still missing, and once that's done, we'll be revising the possibility of you guys just ordering it directly from them, your metal prints, if you guys want metal prints. It's not something that will be like, we won't really be middlemen or intermediaries. I mean, in terms of you guys will be able to purchase them directly from them, even at a price that we are negotiating with them. So you guys don't have to pay a crazy amount of money for a top of the line or top quality metal print. These like I've said it before, these prints are legit. These prints are literally gallery quality prints. So yeah, it's like Matt said, it's not high in our priority list, but we're gonna set it up in a way where you guys can fill out a form or talk to them directly to order your Incognito as metal print.
Fantastic. I actually, excuse me, I actually slightly misspoke there. I didn't realise that the Mark Allen editions were the metal prints. I thought we were talking about the 3D editions. So obviously we do owe people some metal prints, so they will be delivered. But I guess my point is that we're not going to be adding things that we don't currently have capacity to deliver, whilst we're going to concentrate on delivering the priority bits and pieces. I suppose we're not focused on that sort of stuff too much anymore, but what about Shopify and Printful for merch? Yeah, I mean, look, I actually spoke to Itchy K, one of our whale holders, about this the other day, about the potential to set up a very simple third-party merchandise store that allows people to use the Incognitos that they own, or just the sort of generic Incognito logo or brand, to go and order their own sneakers, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, printed China wear for their grandma's house or whatever, I don't know. But in any case, yeah, if we can set something up that's simple, doesn't involve any involvement on our part, and allows holders to go and order and receive direct from the store, then that's something that we'll consider. But again, it's probably going to come as a priority beneath some of the other bits. Juicy Taco asks, when will we be getting Metaverse Land? I want to implement this building in Decentraland. Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on this various times in the course of the last couple of months on Discord. We do want to go down the metaverse road. We've kind of gone down that road in a very fledgling way with some of the metaverse airdrops that we've made. But I think the time to step properly into the metaverse is when we've got an established brand name and an established collection. I don't think there's a huge amount of sense to be had in going and spending significant money purchasing prime plots in Decentraland, Sandbox or other communities when no one knows what Incognito is, and when our community's not strong enough to muster up 100 retweets on Twitter. When we've got 1,000 daily users in the Discord amongst a community of 30,000, and when everyone knows what Incognito is and wants a piece of it, and we're generating huge amounts of royalties that allow us to go out and buy plots in the Decentraland, Sandbox and so on, we will. But right now, I think it has to be considered a lower priority than getting us to where we need to be as a collection. So that's not to say it's not something that we very much want to be involved in. You can see by Dynasty and Jack's passion for the metaverse gear and for general gaming and online living, that is something that we want to be at the forefront of. But there's a time and a place, and the time is when we're in ship shape, and the place is in prime spots when we can reasonably justify it. So it will be done, but not as a priority. Itchy K, I mean, this guy, I'm actually going to sing his praises later because he's got some exciting news for us. But in the meantime, he's taken the opportunity to ask various piss-taking questions in the AMA channel. So thank you for that. Juicy Taco raises the point that Dynasty has a tendency to deliver 6K high caliber, 10 out of 10 quality art. But when delivering sneak peeks of our merchandise, takes the photos on a 1960s blurred lens camera and post them in Discord. Any chance that you could buy a proper camera and take some nice pictures next time?
Yeah, I didn't take the pictures. I got the picture sent via WhatsApp, which also reduces the resolution. So it's not my fault. At least you guys got a sneak peek. I'll go to the to where they get them done tomorrow, and I'll take the pictures myself, so you get better quality pictures.
There we go. Ask and you shall receive. Ownership of the project. I mean, I don't. Basically, I always feel like this isn't something that should be brought up too often. This is Dynasty's baby. He set up the project, he owns the project, he runs the project, and he employs staff to help him with the project. I don't think it's useful to say things like he should be obliged to give up ownership or anything similar, because if I run a company called Azir Consulting, I'm busy, I can't always be on top of everything. But if someone said to me, if one of my clients said, how are you going to make sure that our work is delivered? I'd say I'm going to hire the staff to make sure that you get what you need. I wouldn't say I have to give up 20% of my equity stake in that company to the staff, or I have to give up 20% of my equity stake to the client. That's not the way that these things work in reality. So I think the point about distribution of workload and the ability to delegate and make sure that deliveries are made is a valid one. And I think we've addressed that with Jack being given autonomy, with me being added to the team, and with recognition that we need more support from the parent co. But I think talk of ownership structure of the collection is out of court, so I don't think we need to get into that. Faceless asks, what's the status with metal prints? I cocked up the answer to this earlier without realizing I was even talking about metal prints. We are delivering our way through those. Jack and Dynasty are on top of the list. Some of them have been sent out, others continue to be in the pipeline, but Faceless, apologies that yours is so far delayed. It looks like you won it in September, so we need to prioritize getting that out to you, and I'll pick that up with Jack after the call. The community won't stay together if the project doesn't deliver. I mean, look, the project went through a phase of delayed delivery, and what it's left us with is an extremely strong community of people that have seen us through the bottom and are now ready for the ride up. And I think the community will absolutely stay together to find out what comes next, because the people that want to sell out at 0.07 and aren't prepared to take the risk of holding their bags to find out what happens with Incognito Evolutions, Incognito X, and the new direction we're taking are already out. So yeah, there's always going to be people that panic out because they want to go and participate in this week's hot mint. But the core community that we have here of heavily invested, loyal holders aren't going anywhere. So, and not only that, but we are strongly delivering on the things that we've been talking about. I've been involved for 4 weeks. We haven't missed a deadline since. And everything that we've said is going to come to fruition will. So I'm not too worried about any concerns about people panicking out. The people that are going to panic already have, and the ones that have had the trust to stay and listen to what I have to say and what Dynasty and Jack have to say are still here, and I'm confident we're going to deliver for them. So I'm not concerned. Juicy Taco gives a shout out to Ethereal Collective, who I don't know if they're still with us, but they were on this call earlier, but I'm going to give them a shout out anyway. They minted out their passes and announced dates for 2022. We're obviously partnered with them. We're going to display our artwork in major cities around the world this year as part of that partnership. They've also recently entered into partnership with an artist who I knew before I even joined the NFT space, but what I didn't know was that he had a personal relationship with Itchy K. This is a guy called Paul Kenton, who is a tremendously successful, commercially successful, but also receives rave reviews from the artistic community for his in real life physical paintings. And he has recently, I believe, gone into partnership with the EC team. And through Itchy, I've been speaking to Paul over the course of the last 10 days about becoming the second artist in our Incognito X series. Now, this would be a serious coup for us. Pashimo, as you know, is one of the top 100 selling artists on Foundation in the NFT world. Paul is actually one of the most revered artists in the UK gallery scene. He displays his work in high-end galleries around the UK. I'm going to embarrass him now, but he sells works for way in excess of $10,000, $20,000 in these high-end galleries, and for the first time is going to be looking to take the step into the NFT space. And purely based on his relationship with Itchy, has agreed to partner with us on Incognito X, such that our holders will receive what I can only describe as an absolutely incredible piece of art that he's shared with me already, and that we're currently talking about the best way to distribute to our holders. In exchange, we'll market him, we'll introduce him to our NFT community, we'll make connections for him with other NFT artists in the space, but this will be a serious coup for us. So not only are we very proud of our relationship with EC, but we're also proud of the relationships that we're forging with other artists in the space. And I think when our Nemo, tuna, shark, whale and royal whale holders see the piece of art that I'm talking about that they're going to receive as part of this deal, people are going to be very, very seriously impressed. So I've leaked much more than I was planning to leak there about that, actually, but I'm excited, as you can tell. Stunner ETH asks, pretty broad, but marketing plans for the Evolution series. I'm fully against fake growth influencers. Yep, me too. But for the launch of a new collection, I can't help but think a boost of some kind would be great. Yeah, I agree. Look, the plan for the Incognito X collection is to leverage the networks of the artists with whom we collaborate and the NFT companies with which we've done whitelist collaborations, etc., to promote each other's work and to promote each other's art. For the Evolutions collection, we need to take a slightly more creative approach, make much more use of our social channels, expand from Twitter out into other channels, make more use of Instagram, TikTok, and so on, but also lean on the artistic expertise, not just of Nuxa, but of our community, and start putting some community creative events together. I'm going to speak to Jack in the coming week about reigniting our Photoshop competitions and our creative edit competitions to try and start getting that ball rolling, so that when Evolutions comes to the floor, we can really hit the ground running on Twitter with a huge push to cover off that kind of stuff. So lots of ideas in mind, Stunner ETH, but if you or anyone else has any issues with regards to the plans or has any ideas about how we can build on those, I'd be very keen to hear them. Juicy Taco says, with the problem with a single point of failure is because if the keys are private and Dynasty dies, it's done. Yeah, look, I agree. There needs to be provisions in place for that kind of scenario.
I responded to that.
Okay, fine. In the meantime, if we could just avoid dying, at least until we've got the contingency in place, we'd appreciate it.
Me dying wouldn't. I mean, I won't die. Knock on wood. Like I said it's not a silly question. Some people said it's a weird question. It's not a weird question. First of all, the address that owns Incognito, a smart contract, and pretty much a collection itself is a ledger. So there's a way of getting the codes and everything, all of the codes and everything for the ledger are safe. If I die tomorrow, you guys will also get an announcement tomorrow that I died, and then the project is still in safe hands, and there's still access to the collection. Regardless of that, like most NFT collections out there, this collection, or what most collections out there should do, this collection is going to send pretty much the ownership and transfer the ownership to the burn address sometime in the future, especially once we say, okay, the collection in terms of the art and the IPFS and all that is already where we want it to be, and it's not going to change. NFTs, in terms of what they represent, they should represent something that's impossible to change, impossible to just be burnt, impossible to just disappear from the blockchain, and that's what we want to make sure that you guys own. So yeah, that's pretty much my response to that.
Marvelous. So, in summary, keep taking your vitamin tablets, young man. Osiris has been very kind and offered me a pat on the back there, so thank you, sir. Blast says, is there any plans to do Incognito X drops for other requirements other than Nemo, Tuna, etc.? Actually, it's a good point, because one of the things that we've spoken to a couple of our whale holders about is not just rewarding in the way that we have historically, but making sure that we give utility to the existing project such that we don't risk diminishing it as people go chasing after the Incognito Evolutions project. One of the things we could do is do exactly as you suggest. Okay, well, look, we're not going to do Nemos, tunas, sharks, whales, and royal whales this time. We're going to do everyone who owns a robot is going to be participating in the next Incognito X drop, or everyone who owns a robot and a bronze, or everyone who owns both colours of plastic, a marble, a concrete, and a glass. There's all kinds of permutations we can use. It doesn't always have to be based on outright ownership numbers. It can be based on all kinds of things to incentivize people to have broad holdings in our collection and to support the Genesis collection. So we'll look at all different kinds of permutations of that. For the Paul Kenton drop that I hope to have finalized and agreed for the follow-up drop after Pashamo, it is going to follow the Nemo, tuna, shark, whale, royal whale format. But for future drops, there's no reason why the idea that Blast puts forward there couldn't be utilised, because I think that's a good one, and I think actually is a good way to provide utility to the Genesis collection and make it desirable, as Jack was touching on earlier. I think as Jack's speaker status dropped off, I'm just going to add him back on. Add as speaker. Jack, anything to add to that? I don't know, I think Jack might be having microphone problems, but yeah, Jack spoke to the point earlier of making sure that the Genesis collection is always considered the premier holding and making it desirable, and I think that could be part of that plan. When 3D models release, Juicy Taco says, again, not soon, basically. I would love to tell you tomorrow, but it's not going to be tomorrow because I think the other stuff we're working on is more important. We want to get there, but there's only so many hours in the day, and I think the 3D models are less likely to add value to the collection in the short to medium term than delivering on all the other bits and pieces. So the harsh reality is that that's the case. Right. I think I rattled through all of the existing questions on that channel. I'll give it a minute or two more for people to add any other thoughts or comments. But Dynasty, before they do that, or Jack, have you got anything that you want to get off your chest this evening?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. All right. One thing I did want to cover, it's something I spoke about briefly with the whales the other evening. There are opportunities, of course, to just kind of pause for a minute and do kind of celebrate what we're really here to do, guys, and that is to kind of enjoy the art, and in some cases, support the art, for better or for worse. And we have one such individual. Now, you might not be aware of her. If you have kind of closely followed the collector's chat, there's a young woman who like her first NFT I think was in like Incognito, and she's kind of a bit of like a young upstart entrepreneur. She mentioned that she was featured in like local media on the topic of like, I guess, women kind of getting into this new Web3 culture. And she has her own very humble little project that she's launching. And, some of us were discussing it. We thought it would be cool if we could support her. So we found, here's the thing. The art is quite cartoonish and simple. I may not be quite up the alley of, most of the Incognito folks. We know how our tastes are. But nonetheless, this is something I think worthy of our support. This is one of those opportunities, I think, to give back. And in that regard, like I said, we've secured a number of spots, guys. So it's really just going to be a cost of gas to you if you guys would like to support her. She's just looking to help mint out her collection. We have secured some spots for Incognito holders. You just pay the cost of gas. We have the rest. And yeah, please, if you guys are interested, I will leave something in the collector whitelist channel to learn more about this project.
Superb, thanks, Jack. Pieces asks, what are the utilities going to be going forward for the Evo collection, the artist collection, or indeed for the main collection? I think we're pretty clear on what the utilities are, right? If you hold a collection that's deflationary and the art that you own is becoming increasingly rare, and at the same time you're being rewarded with the ability to evolve that art via metaverse airdrops, via artistic airdrops, and via long-term metaverse plans, I don't think that we need to go too much further down the utility road than that for the time being. That's plenty of work for us to be getting on with for the next 3 to 6 months, and plenty of value add for the project and for holders. So I think that we can definitely be comfortable with the direction that we're taking. Longer term, of course, we want to take that step into the metaverse, whether that's allowing our PFPs to be used as avatars in big games, whether that's creating plots in Decentraland or Sandbox, whether that's creating real life utility via merchandise. All of these things can be gamed out. But right now, I think our roadmap's incredibly clear, and I think it delivers real, genuine, tangible value. So I don't think we need to be putting together 3-year roadmaps that may or may not be delivered on. I think we need to be very clear about what we want to do in the next 3 to 6 months and do it. So hopefully the community agrees with that. I think Juicy Taco wants to talk more about the 3D files. Looks like Dynasty's going to pick that one up with him offline, so that's good. What is the ratio of holders? It's let's have a look. Okay, yeah. What proportion of our holders are Nemo and up? About 11%. 11% of our holders qualified for the Pashamo airdrop. What about those of us with under 5 icons? Worthwhile keeping in mind that the majority of owners are not able to afford that. Yeah, we absolutely bear that in mind. So that's part of the reason that we want to increase the value of the collection. When we're talking about elevating the floor, elevating the value, and putting new eyes on the project, the way that benefits you guys is that the value of your holdings increases, right? But what we need to be realistic about is how we reward smaller holders within the collection. Royalties are set at 5%, and the floor cost of an icon at the moment is 0.078. So when someone goes and buys a floor icon, the Incognito collection makes the thin end of nothing. So if we then expected to go and spend money on rewards for a holder of a single icon, then the project becomes net loss-making and is therefore not sustainable. So we have to come up with ways to reward our community that aren't going to cost us more than is coming through the door, because actually by the time Dynasty's paid for the staff, used 50% plus of the royalties for buybacks, it's already running out of loss, and we're going into the vault every month using mint funds and going into Dynasty's own pocket. So we have to be a bit realistic in terms of expectations of rewards for single holders, because they're just not generating any revenue for the project. Everyone should be feel valued by the fact that we're going to such lengths to make sure that we create value for the community via the value of the project itself. So right now, if you own one of our Incognitos, you own a one of 10,000. Within 6 months, that's going to be a one of 6,000. So we've significantly delivered value there by increasing the rarity and scarcity of the project that you own. So I think the idea that we need to deliver rewards per se to every holder on a regular basis is flawed. That said, we are going to continue to, of course, explore metaverse airdrops. We're going to continue to explore ways to make sure that people are rewarded by the overall value of the project rising. But I think it's right that when we come to spending money on rewards or entering partnerships with artists who want to, say, okay, I'm happy to partner with you, but I'm only happy for you to use 300 of my images, not 3,000, then I think it makes sense that those rewards are targeted at the slightly larger holders, and we continue to find more imaginative ways to look at rewards for the smaller holders who we value very much, because as you say, they make up 90% of our community. Juicy Taco, doing the same for Ethereal Collective, working on again, this is 3D models. I'll leave that to Dynasty to pick up. Okay, Faceless, I think, is responding to someone else's comments in the chat there. So that's it from me, basically. I think that's answered all of the questions. I hope I haven't missed any. If I have, feel free to shoot me a DM once we go offline, and I'll try and respond as clearly as I can if I've missed any. Otherwise, I will invite Jack or Dynasty to raise any closing comments, and then we'll head back onto the Discord to answer any residual questions.
I mean, that's pretty much it for me. Not sure we have other questions I might pitch in, but yeah, I mean, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover tonight.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much as ever to Jack for joining me and for going into the details of the questions that I don't have the technical expertise to answer. And fantastic, of course, to have our founder and leader, Dynasty, on this call. Very much appreciated for you making the time, sir. I will jump on the Discord for half an hour now and answer any additional questions as they arise. But otherwise, thank you very much for taking the time to tune in. I hope that's given everyone a clear picture of where we're going and how we're getting there. And I have never, in the 6 months I've been involved as a collector and the 1 month that I've been involved as a member of the team, been more confident that we're on the right track. So we're in the right direction. Thanks very much for your ongoing support. And we're very much looking forward to delivering more for you guys in the coming couple of weeks. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Much love.